this world has completely evolved and changed, right?
When I got here, it was never Vegas.
Yeah.
Every sports commissioner said never Vegas, that quote. Then we were the Golden Knights. We were the one asterisk, the only team in a betting market.
All right, we're here with Billboards, Bets, and a Bit of Booze. This is Jonathan Gudai, your host, and I'm very, very happy to have as a special guest Nehme Abouzeid, a Vegas marketing legend. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, as you know, Vegas is a place where we want to have fun, and you want to have business. We want to bring people for a hockey game. You also want to bring people for a convention and a great meal. And we aren't serving food here today, but we always like to have a tradition of starting off with a roulette wheel to then kick off a drink of something tasty and special, and then kind of get into a little bit of what's kind of going on in the world of marketing. All right, let's do it. So you have $100 of chips, 4 $25 chips that you can place however you want.
Okay, great. Yeah. Let's do a split 11 and 12. Because my sports number was 11, my daughter's sports number is 12. My daughter Layla, she's a flag football quarterback.
Oh, nice.
So she's big into that, and she's on a great team that's nationally ranked. So let's do that.
Very cool.
Let's do that. Let's do 17 black because my daughter Celine turned 17 this last month.
Oh, so you're also a girl dad. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
multi-girl dad, like me. Okay.
Double girl dad.
Nice.
And then let's go. Where are we here? 19 red. So my wife and I will be married 19 years.
Congrats.
This October. And let's go one more here. Let's go. Oh, and also because my Celtics are hopefully going to get their 19th banner.
That was a heck of a win the other night.
As well. And then let me see here. Let's go third 12.
All right. He's got a nice little diversity there.
Yeah. Well, you need your payouts, right? So there's no sense doing even more.
All right. Here we go. Let's see if your girls bring it home.
Oh, no win.
No win, right. No win. But there's never really a losing experience in the city of Las Vegas, and there's never really a losing experience in this place. So the black box here looks like it is a bourbon.
Nice.
Are you a bourbon guy?
Yeah.
Comet Rising.
All right. Let's do it.
Stellum bourbon. And now this is cask strength. So as you take your first sip, just remember that there was no water or additives or anything. This came straight out of the cask.
Wow. You're loosening me up to tell truths.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is great.
That's good. All right. So you are a bourbon guy? Or what's your kind of normal?
My friends know me. I'm a notorious non-drinker, but
okay.
in social situations where there are many,
yes,
of course, in Las Vegas and elsewhere, I tend to favor these. So.
Okay, the Browns, nice. Well, we're like I said, a very special guest. Mm-hmm. You are someone that I've known through many people in the industry, like Jonathan Fine and others locally, and decades in Las Vegas with a really interesting past. So. Before we start talking about some of the bets and billboards, if you could tell a little bit to the audience about your background and highlight a few of the key roles you've had in the past.
Sure. I'm a transplanted Las Vegan like a lot of us. Grew up in the Northeast, went to journalism school, undergrad, and changed careers quickly, got my MBA in 2003. When I came out here, I was really just passing through town, honestly. But I was on my way back to Los Angeles, where I used to live. And I was going to apply my MBA in the media business because I had started out in media. I got recruited by Sands Corporation, Las Vegas Sands, at the time, to join them because they were growing. So I didn't know much about the casino business. I was more traditionally schooled, but that's actually the type of person they were looking for at the time.
Okay.
Because they were like, we're going to open casino resorts in this place called Macau, and people called it macaw back then, which is a bird. Which is a bird. You could tell how many people actually knew what Macau really was back then. But they said we're going to go public. We're going to open all these casinos all over Asia, and I just I joined. And then shortly after, I actually met my wife here, who's a practicing dentist at the time here, who's also transplanted. She's from Orange County. And so I kind of got the job, and just everything kind of just fell into place. And there were so many times we were going to leave because we were like, this is just temporary, but just the city kept rolling. But, I was fortunate, like post MBA, it was pretty much right away in the casino business, which was growing by leaps and bounds. And other typical MBA industries like consulting and investment banking were kind of retrenching because it was post 9/11.
Right. I remember that was right after the bubble burst, right? With the whole .com boom. So 2001, 2002, everything kind of went kind of crazy. But what was it like in Las Vegas? Because Sands Corporation, that's the Venetian and the Palazzo.
At the time,
right?
At the time, well, now they sold it recently. But back then, yes, that was the flagship. Palazzo wasn't even built back then. But yes, Venetian was the flagship, and they were winning all these licenses in Asia. They were really punching above their weight at the time. They were not a multi-property operator at the time. They were just one property in Vegas, but they had great visionary leaders. And but yeah, they were looking for generally schooled MBA types to kind of diversify their own skill set within the casino, because you traditionally either had people who checked them in, checked them out of hotel rooms, and you had people that knew how to deal and run casinos, but you didn't have people who knew retail or meetings. Like you didn't have all those 7 lines of business under one roof. At the time, integrated resort wasn't even a thing really. The idea of something called an integrated resort. So, and I was young and I was eager, and just kind of fell into place. And then, I went from Sands to Wynn eventually. Then I went from Wynn to be the first CMO of the Golden Knights, which was something I've always wanted to kind of do historic things in Vegas. And so I've always been attracted to historic projects. From the Golden Knights, I started my own consulting firm for 4 years called Launch Vegas, because I realized launching things in town was like formulaic, had a formula to it. So I was helping other companies, one of which was Madison Square Garden. I was helping them on Sphere. And then I went to Bally Bet as CMO of Bally Bet. At the time, sports betting was going from Nevada only to nationwide. So that was an exciting time. And then I went from Bally Bet back to Sphere, but to be an in-house executive as the SVP of Sales and Marketing. And we just kicked off Sphere last fall. To great acclaim. And then this January, I moved on to pursue some entrepreneurial activities because after 20 years of opening billion-dollar things on the Strip, I was a little worn down. And now I want to apply that to investing in businesses and also building my own businesses. So,
Very cool.
It was a long time, but I also took a bit of a break, had some fun, went to Australia.
Nice.
Watched some tennis, the Australian Open. Been traveling with my family. My daughter, I mentioned flag football, but it's been about a 20-year odyssey of actually taking sort of the principles that you learn in business school and applying them to an industry that really didn't have kind of that decades-old infrastructure with casinos, hotel casinos, and also very license-driven and regulation-driven. So it's kind of been learning on the fly, and I've always never tried to be in an ivory tower. I've always tried to make the academic side of it with the practical side of it kind of meet in the middle.
Sure.
So that's always kind of been my strength. But yeah, the last 7 years have really been focused on launching things, whereas the first 14 were focused on growing Sands and Wynn brands. But it's been fun. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the 0 to 1 has been a recurring theme in your career, and even with Venetian, which is the Adelson group, and Sands with billionaires. Still, the notion that you were launching something that I think became vital to their business, right? China, the Macau market is. I remember once meeting Steve Wynn, and him telling me that the amount of profits, the amount of revenue and profits coming out of China compared to Las Vegas, it's orders of magnitude more. And so you did that for Sheldon.
Yeah, I worked on all those big Sands Macau, Venetian Macau, Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. Obviously, it was massive projects, but it was basically trying to take, the playbook in Vegas and applying it to Asia. And Vegas, we really cobbled together like an old convention center, a new hotel. There really wasn't as much of a playbook as you think that was like written down. So I made a lot of trips there, trying to navigate cultures and language and corporate cultures. Software that could either do double byte character set, Chinese, English, There wasn't a lot of vendors that supported it. So
interesting. And was your remit at the time marketing specific, or did it also tap into other kind of disciplines within business?
Yeah, I started out actually. Sands didn't really have a formal like MBA program. I helped develop it when I was there.
Okay.
But I started out in IT, systems, project management, then diversified into entertainment, booking. So like booking the arena in Macau, booking the venues at the Venetian here. So I was actually very fortunate. Most people spend their whole careers in one discipline, and I prided myself on being versatile, and I actually pushed a lot of doors down. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of luck and right timing, but it was like I got able to be exposed to different revenue centers. So it was like I got into entertainment development, entertainment booking, entertainment marketing. Then that dovetailed into brand marketing and things like that. So
very cool.
I was just very fortunate at the time because, in this town, a lot of times it's either like Caesars, MGM, they grew by acquisition.
Right.
Sands, Wynn grew by organic growth. And so there's really those two different sides of the operators and I always kind of liked and appreciated those companies that were owner-led and grew organically. I always thought that was kind of the most fun rather than rebranding existing legacy properties, although I've done that too. I just, it was a fun time. It was basically, I call it the seminal growth period for the global gaming industry because it was Macau, Singapore. It was, it was just, I think the pace of that development and the amount of money in the ground between 2004 and like 2011.
Yeah.
I don't think
transformational.
I don't think it'll be duplicated anytime soon.
Yeah, transformational. Yeah, I mean, you touched upon in your career a few things that are really close to my heart. I mean, casinos, the family that, that we have, the Epsteins and the Fines, where we've got a big casino background. And then sports, you said Bally Bet. So that's sports betting and the mobile betting.
Yep.
I do like to dabble in some sports betting kind of casually.
Sure.
And then you said Vegas Golden Knights, where, obviously I'm a diehard professional ice hockey fan here. But let's talk about, so when you went from the Sands to the Wynn, but then you transitioned to the Vegas Golden Knights, or was it Bally Bet first?
No, Knights.
It was Knights. Okay.
Yep.
So how did that happen? How did you get involved with a brand new expansion team for the first real true kind of major professional sport here in the city? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. I was running brand marketing and advertising and entertainment marketing for Wynn at the time. Okay. And the team got announced at an NHL event in a Wynn ballroom.
Okay.
In the summer of 2016.
Yeah.
So I was basically an observer. And I was in a suit and I was doing my Wynn activities and I'm in this ballroom and Gary Bettman's there, and they're announcing the team. Bill Foley's there, all that. And, they say Vegas has earned the right for the next expansion team over Quebec City. So it was a big day for the city of Las Vegas. I don't think people realized that at the time how big it was going to be. But I was like, man, I don't know if there's a CMO job for that team, but if there is, I want it. So I just aggressively went after it, went to some events, got introduction to Bill, introduction to certain people close to Bill. And then over the next few months, there was this little dance because they wanted a real Vegas-focused marketer to be their CMO. Most of the other positions were filled with people that came from other sports teams in other cities and even different sports altogether. Because there's a bit of definitely a playbook to it and a formula to it, being the 31st franchise in a sport. So they had all that bench strength. They had the people that knew how to do fan development in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. What they didn't have was someone that really knew the city as well as I did, just by virtue of my experience here. And then, you know, the nuances between Henderson, Summerlin, like the strip, the non-strip.
Sure.
So, you know, I just went after it.
It's an interesting kind of question, because you would think that you want to surround yourself with people who've done this job before for a hockey team. But then you also think about how unique Las Vegas is.
Yeah.
And were you, I mean, obviously it's amazing to pursue that position, but when you finally were like, yes, you can be the CMO of the Vegas Golden Knights, yes, you can help us launch this, were you a little scared?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't have time to be, because it was a breakneck pace. It was like, I believe July they awarded the team.
Okay.
November, both the president and myself were hired.
Okay.
Early November, by I think November 22nd, we had the unveiling of the name and logo, which they had already scheduled. We need attention to this right away. I was like 2 weeks on the job, and so we thankfully, like true Vegas format, right? Whether you're opening a casino, cutting the ribbon on a restaurant or whatever, you rally, right? You work around the clock, you rally.
Yep.
And that's what I love about this city. And I love, like, there's a social intelligence everybody has. Like, nobody kills you with their education. Nobody kills you with their resume. If you call someone, hey, I need this, right? I need $20,000 worth of floral. I need, you know, $30,000 worth of pipe and drape or whatever.
Yeah.
People just rally. So as soon as I was there and we had this date on the calendar, everyone, like our partners at MGM rallied, our partners, you know, T-Mobile Arena, like just everybody came, whether it was, you know, a helicopter company or a promotional goods company, everyone just rallied. So, you know, we got what media reports say 7,000 people or so to just come out for the unveiling of a name and a logo. And Gary Bettman told me, he's like, I've never seen this many people for just a name and a logo. Yeah. And what was funny is Adidas, they were the only ones producing merch at the time. So they sent boxes of merch.
Okay.
And we were all worried like the name was going to get out because someone was going to take a picture of a hat,
right.
put it out on Twitter. It kind of did, but it didn't go wide. So it was like literally, it was well kept under wraps. So, you know, knock on wood. Yeah. People loved it. They embraced the team. It was a great experience for me, my career. It helped diversify, you know, something that had been, you know, heavily casino oriented for a while, and then entertainment. But it was great. I look back on it. I'm still friends with so many people from the team, and it's just amazing. And now it's the blueprint for any expansion team.
Sure.
It's like open like Vegas did, or but I really felt like
open like Vegas did and go to a Stanley Cup in your first year. Just follow that whatever Nehme did and market the team. And
I had nothing to do with
that
on the ice. I had nothing to do with it on the ice. We had some geniuses on the ice. The draft and
it was something else.
That was great.
That was something else.
It was a fairy tale, but I do think like there was more to the story than just hockey. And I think if I brought one thing to the team is the fact that like it's not just a hockey story. It's the sizzle of Las Vegas combined with the fact that there's enough of there's 2.3 million people here that are proud of their city and are willing to adopt a new team, especially a homegrown team. And you can see the difference between Raiders loyalty and Golden Knights loyalty, like a transplanted team versus a homegrown team.
Sure.
So, but again, like in 2016, we were doing events, you know, or in early 17 at Desert Breeze Park in 115-degree heat, and there was street hockey, you know, pucks and balls, and teaching kids the rules of hockey in the middle of summer. Yeah. Like, you know, it was just...
That kind of plays into that fairy tale, that mystique that, you know, it's 115 degrees and this is an ice hockey sport. Like, who would have ever thought... I mean, I remember when I first moved here, again, we were going to the Win a lot, and Mark Shore. So that is Steve Wynn's right-hand guy. We were at the Super Bowl party, and we're watching the game. I said, when are we going to get a professional team? I remember him looking at me and saying, it's never going to happen. Not as long as there's betting. Not as long as there's the risk that the players are going to get corrupted by it. Yeah. And then you think about all the change. I got here in 2010. So that was like maybe 2010 February. Yeah. And you think about where we are now. the world has changed so much, right?
Sure.
And you've seen it from the betting side, land-based. You've seen it from the betting side on the mobile app.
Yeah.
Obviously, sports is kind of, the way that they've embraced it. Like I was watching golf this weekend, and there were 4 people on the left-hand side talking about it, like young people, mid-aged people. So not just like hey, he's going to. It was, okay, I think he's going to shank this thing, or I think he's going to two-pot this. And so they were like doing the talking heads thing.
Yeah.
Then below that, you had the odds on what this specific player is going to do in that specific hole, encouraging people to bet as they're watching it.
Yep.
I was like, this world has completely
Totally
evolved and changed, right?
When I got here, it was never Vegas.
Yeah.
Every sports commissioner said never Vegas, that quote. Then we were the Golden Knights. We were the 1 asterisk, the only team in a betting market. And then that those early days, 2016, PassBet hadn't been overturned. So it was still like Nevada's the only legal team in a betting market. Be careful. And then we were worried about educating, people in the organization about, betting. But the whole like $60,000 in a gym bag in the parking lot for a player, it's when you're paying players $3 million a year, that becomes less
right.
of a threat. But if you see the amazing apparatus that has been built up around online sports betting, integrity firms, all those things since 2017, it's crazy. I mean, when I was marketing the Wynn Sportsbook, it was a 5% margin business,
right.
Low margin, single digit margins. Our steakhouse, made a ton of money, and then the betting was just nice convenience to have an amenity to
right.
keep the
right.
players from leaving property, and then all these non-endemic companies piled in.
Yeah,
well,
once and the FanDuels and the
so it's really interesting. And having worked with Ballybet, and some companies launched well, some companies didn't launch as well. Some companies divested from the business because they realized there's a tough path to profit there. But
yeah,
I see both sides of it. Actually, I see the purity of the game, which like, hey, don't make athletes second guess themselves about point spread. But then also, you're one of the Golden Knights. I remember going to a game against my former hometown Boston Bruins, and I'm hearing people saying, oh, the backup goalie's in. We should have bet the over because they're like, oh, they figure the backup goalie's no good. They're going to bet. And so I saw people like totally engaged from the first minute to the end of the third period, the final whistle. And I just thought, this is good to grow interest and to keep fans engaged in things.
I personally believe it's fun to bet socially with your friends. And as long as it's controlled and it's small amounts of money, it makes the game more fun. I don't agree that Dave & Buster's should be allowing people to bet on like skee ball. I don't know if you read that article that recently, like they're now letting people bet on all their arcade games at that. I think that's taking it too far, especially for young kids. But yeah, I mean, we've kind of dispelled that myth that, there couldn't be a healthy professional sports experience. And I want to talk about marketing stuff because I know we're talking about a lot of cool kind of like parts of your career. But before we dive into that, I remember it was the fall of, I think, 2023, taking my wife on a date at the Venetian. And we cross over on Sands. And for the first time, no, maybe it was July. It was a summer. The first time the Sphere had been activated. I remember just like driving. All of a sudden, this basketball that was like the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life just emerged. It's like, that is what that these guys have been working on. Like it's been this black dome, all this potential, but that is unbelievable. So talk about that. How early were you in the Sphere project here? Which everyone I'm sure knows the Sphere now. It's worldwide famous, but that massive LED dome that's right behind the Venetian. How did you get involved and looped in with those guys?
Those sort of intense periods where it feels like you're flying the plane as you're building the plane, it takes a different kind of marketer for that.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a ballsy one.